Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network and the Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man. And this afternoon, I have with me a very special guest. Like all my guests are very special. But I got the OG from Chicago, John Reaves, and we're going to be kicking it with some old school information. Y'all going to be educated. But before we get into the major topic of tonight, which is about who is the real GOAT, before we get into that, we're going to talk about the famous and outstanding NCAA women's championships as well as the men's. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA, with the playoffs upcoming next week, and the pairings and what's going on with that. Looking forward to that as well. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the GOAT, and maybe we can lay down some information, educate y'all, and then obviously y'all going to make your own decisions as to what you guys feel who is the GOAT. But I got the real GOAT. Y'all gonna be very surprised, but I got the real GOAT. But anyway, when I think it's coming on right now. Matter of fact. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got my man, the OG from Chicago, my man, OG John Reaves. John, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. How's everything? Can
Everything's
you hear me?
going good. Come on, folks. I had my man on. I don't know a couple weeks ago, and we could probably kick it for like 12 hours, if not longer. But before we get into the meet and greet of what I really want to talk about, I want to know what your take is on the past women's NCAA championship.
Extremely exciting. Extremely. Extremely. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, listen, it was extremely exciting, man. For both games. Both games. Uh, 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 South Carolina turned it on, and that girl, Raven, was it Raven Johnson? She
Hmm.
did a job. She did a hell of a job. She stayed with her, stole the ball several times. She looked good. Looked really good. So, how you been?
I'm good. I'm good. I was sick for like 13 days, but I'm back on the I'm back on the grind again, and I'm back talking smack like I always do. So I feel a lot better. You know
That's
how I
good.
am,
That's
OG.
good.
That's good. So
Listen,
I'm glad.
I met the guy. Remember the Reebok commercials? The Reebok, they had three shoes, three basketball shoes. One named for uh, Billy Harris, a guy named Lamar Mundane, and a guy named Ralph Walker.
Okay.
Ralph
Okay.
Walker's Ralph Walker's shoe was named the Rocket because he could jump real high. And the other guy, Lamar Mundane, uh, he was I forget Money, call him Money, and
Okay.
Billy Harris was called Showtime.
And
They
he
all
says
they
it's
named
out of
all they are the Reebok.
Reebok.
Reebok shoe, yep. The Reebok gym shoe. This is
Okay,
way
so that's way
this
before. You know,
this is way before Shaq and Allen Iverson and all them. These guys,
yeah. Wow.
man, listen. And I met the guy, and you know where the guy went to high school? Cooley High.
Cooley.
He went to Cooley High. And that movie Cooley High, that was the real
Yeah,
school
absolutely. Okay.
with a good basketball team. I knew some
Right.
of the guys that played on that team. And
Wow.
named James what's his name? William what's his name? Bobo. They call him Bobo Lewis. Bobo Lewis. He was a good ball player, decent ball, had several brothers. Brother named uh and his name was Jesse Lewis. Was it Bobo Lewis? And he had a brother named William Fatback Lewis, and another brother named Bernard Lewis. They call him Beanie. He could dribble real good. Had all of it, man. He had the whole 9 yards. So how you been, man? You all good? You're
I'm
looking
good.
well.
I'm good. Thank you
You're
very
looking
much,
good.
man. I'm glad to have you on the show because every time you come on, I get excited because you educate me. You know what I mean? I keep trying to educate others, but you educate me. And I keep my mouth shut and just learn and listen.
They had a guy. It was the guy that it was a guy named Chris. His Berryman, he or not he committed suicide, and had a camera crew from Channel 7 News and
Okay.
Channel 5, and they followed him around for 2 weeks. He had like a 2 week. He was number one for a couple of years. He had committed to Northwestern University, and he committed suicide. Never played a game. Never got to college.
Wow.
Never got to college. So man, it was sad, but the guy was a good ball player, and I watched all of the segments and stuff on the news. Guy was a hell of a ball player. So, but it's that sad loss and all that. And we lost OJ yesterday. It was
I was gonna
OJ
bring that
Simpson.
up.
Yeah,
I
he
was gonna
passed
bring it up.
away.
I'll let you.
And some of the things that you brought up last time we talked, I mentioned it to some of the ball players that we have a reunion two Saturdays out of every month.
Right.
And the guy that heads it up is Danny Crawford, the old the retired. I can't say old, the from the NBA, and the guy I thought I'd asked you before about a guy named Reuben Norris, who was the coach at the Boston Shootout. He's 89 years old,
Yes.
and he showed
I
me
know.
his Boston Shootout championship ring and all that. Man, I had a ball. The guy, man. When I get your phone number, I'll send you some pictures. I'm gonna send you some pictures,
Please
man.
do.
We have a breakfast every 2 Saturdays out of the first Saturday and the last Saturday of every month. Man, we have they give us bacon, eggs, sausage, a whole 9 yards, and just a big to do, and all the old ball players, Eugene Ford from Western Michigan, Dan Davis from Northwestern, Mickey Johnson came back, and all these guys show Mark Aguirre, all these guys show up all the time, and
I
it's
saw
so
that.
it's a big man. I was so thrilled to meet this guy from that come up with the Reebok commercial.
Wow.
Is that Dick Bernard Washington, and he's the old timer. And all I sat down and talked to him for about an hour. We just had a ball. We had a ball. All ball players from man. It's about got to be 150 guys there eating breakfast. It's,
Like that.
man, yeah, I was sitting there with a table. I was sitting there with a guy named Leon Milton, and I hadn't seen the guy in over 55 years. And I looked at him real close, and he said, "Who are you?" And the guy said, "Because over on the west side of Chicago, they call me Reaves. That's how they pronounce my name. But my name is actually Reaves, but they call me Reaves
Right.
because that's." And the guy he said, "Johnny Reaves." He said, "Yeah, man, that's Johnny Reaves." And I looked at the guy, and this guy's a Bronze Star veteran, Vietnam veteran. I looked at his eyes real close, and the guy was crying. He said, "Man, I hadn't seen you in almost 50 years, man." And the guy started crying. He was so happy that he saw me, and I was just thrilled just to be just to be what is it, bestowed upon me the the the, the title of legend. The guy they call man, you're a legend, man. I said, no, I'm just a guy that played basketball. I don't know nothing about no legend, but I got this hat, cap I'm wearing. This cap I'm wearing is a legend. It says Legends Playground. Well, it's a Chicagoland legend, and put that on my head, man. I was just thrilled to death, and
That is awesome, man.
man, it's just and all of them got these hats. All these ball players got these hats, and we just had so, man. And then you said you was talking about having me on with Nate Archibald.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
went to high. I was in the I was in the military with a guy that went to DeWitt Clinton. A guy that he's passed away now. He was a good ball player too, and he was my roommate for about 2 years. 2 years in the military, and he's a nice guy. In Alabama with a guy that I think was relation to John Sally from
Oh.
Detroit Pistons and all that.
Mm-hmm.
To play for and the guy had a tremendous jump shot, the whole nine. Man, these guys could go. It could go. So I just, man, there's so many people, so many ball players I know, and the guy that I went to high school with him, at grammar school and high school. Billy Harris, the guy I was telling you about, he was
Right.
like the Muhammad Ali of basketball. This guy could shoot the lights out. He could shoot the lights out. If he missed a shot, it was like amazing. I mean, you miss? Oh, wow. So the guy was great. Super Bowl player. Not a lot of point average, but he was flashy not too flashy, but he was flashy to just not excess, but he wasn't Pete Maravich flashy, but he had game. It's a stupid game. So he was like what do you call it? What's the guy in New York, Earl Manigault? He was kind of like
Yes.
that. He had that kind of game. So all that, man, it was
Wow.
just, man. These are guys who got. I mean, when you sit down and you talk about them, we just talk because we go from table to table, about 6 or 7 chairs to a table, and we sit and talk. We're talking about 10,000 years of basketball history right in that one room, because there's about 100 guys, 150 guys show up every Saturday. They drive,
Mm-hmm.
park their cars, and we all, a lot of us walk with canes and walkers and all that. And a lot of guys
Right.
can walk in like Dan Davis and Mickey Johnson and all these guys show up. Man, it's just amazing. And guys we haven't seen in years, guys that played college ball, high school ball, and small college ball, just guys from all over the city.
That's why I got you on the show,
Great guys.
because you have so many great memories, and maybe gone but not forgotten. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted you on the
That's the
show,
name of the
because
game.
you have so.
That's the man. It's just the name of the game. The guy. Remember I told you the guy that hooked Jerry West up with Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Ronnie Lester. Yeah, all these guys. All these guys come through, and we in touch with Bobby Reed, and cause Bobby Reed showed up one day, and a guy named Joshua Smith. He played with Ricky Green in high school, and Johnny Robinson from University of Michigan. These guys all played on the same high school team together, and they won a state championship. So, man, it's just amazing. It's amazing. And then Bobby just interviewed with all these guys, and I wanted Danny Crawford to have an interview with a newspaper guy named Ben Jarowski, who's a basketball nut, and he loves the game and all of that. So but see, Danny don't do interviews. That's the first thing he told me. He said, I don't do interviews. He said, I told him, I said, well, he just wants you to just talk what we do here with all of these old timers. Because it's just super great, man. I would, if you could ever come to Chicago, I would show you around, take you out there if you're here long enough, and you just have a ball. You would love it. You
Well,
get all
OG,
these experiences.
what I'd like you to do for me, the next time
What?
you guys go up for breakfast, when you see Danny Crawford, mention this name, Lee Jones.
Okay. Oh, we'll do. I will do. Lee
I'll tell you
Jones.
who Lee Jones is. Lee Jones, one of my best friends, his name is Eric Brittle. He was trying to get into the NBA. And what we did was he took it, well, we all went to New York City. As a matter of fact, was purchased New York. And Eric was pro-am. Mark Jackson was playing, matter of fact. Jackson was playing in the game. It was a summer pro game. And Eric was up there. And that was before I became a referee. So I'm watching Eric. I'm thinking he's doing fine. It was me, Eric, and his father, Peter Brittle, who just recently passed away. So we're in the stands. Lee Jones, who at that time, you can ask Danny Crawford, was the head of officials for the NBA. So
Okay,
that's how.
okay.
So, and when you ask Danny Crawford,
Wow.
I guarantee you, he's probably the one that hired Danny Crawford. But anyway, getting back to
Okay,
that. So,
okay.
yes, yes. And I found out how hard it is to become an official because, I mean, they critiqued every move. Or Eric should be
Oh
on
yeah,
maybe a little bit over there. He should be on the right. He should be on. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't even know how to referee at that time. And I'm hearing all this critique. I'm like, wow.
yeah.
And I'm going to tell you
One
something,
guy half
OG.
court, one guy at the end of the basket, the other guy on the other side. Oh yeah,
All about angles, all about angles. But I'm gonna tell you. So at the end of the game, I went over to go congratulate Eric, and you know what he said, because
oh,
his dad was with us. He said, "Dad, can you drive home from New York?" And Eric
wow.
sat in the seat with me crying. That is a true.
What?
That's how he got
Wow.
blasted by. If you want to make it to that level, this is what you need to do. So if
Yeah,
you can remember that
this guy.
lead, I'll tell you that. But
Yeah,
getting
Lee
back to
Jones.
man, get back to your story because again, this is more about you than me. But yeah, it's a great thing you guys do on like you said every 2 Saturdays a month. That's a great thing. Keep
Yeah.
the memories alive, and you have
Oh yeah, keep
that's
them,
something.
give them flowers while they're here. Give them the flowers
That's
while
what
they're
I
here.
do.
Is what
That's
it's
what
what
I
it
do.
is. That's what it. And I've met so many guys that I had seen from the stands that I look at them. Yeah, let's look at these guys, and I said, now, he looks familiar. Then I asked him, I said, "What's your name?" He tell me what his name. I said, "Oh wow!" I saw a guy named Ed Bonner, who played at Marshall High School, my old high school, and he was just thrilled to death. He said, "Oh man, that's you." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Man, you done got thin and old." I said, "Well, that's what happens when you get old. You get thin, slow, all that." I said, "You
I
try
got
not try, try to all that stuff." So I talked to for years ago. Uh, what's the guy named Jim Capers Jr. Jim Capers Jr. Jim Capers is a referee in the NBA now.
absolutely. Oh yeah. Hmm.
He's so young. He's so young. He had never seen Billy Harris, and I said, "Are you joking?" He said, "You've never seen?" He said, "I just heard stories about him." I said, "Yeah, man, he's a myth, man. The cat is that his son played at my daughter's old high school, Whitney Young, played at University of Miami, and all that. So, man, it's a bunch of all time. Oh, it was just so many great guys. I mean, I just was thrilled to death. Cats will just come up to you and just talk to you, and then you start speaking. You're in awe of all these guys, and and me, I'm older than a lot of them, and they said, man, I actually touched this guy, so it's just amazing, man. I just had a good time, good time. So, man, what we do out there is just we got guys that work for the city, guys that in not so much high place positions, but guys that know about taxes and how to buy homes and all that. These guys are real estate guys, and they just come in just like normal people. So just
Right.
amazing stuff. Just and they're just as nice and personable. You just you feel so at ease with them. So and these but earlier they like vicious. When they were young, they're playing ball, they were violent. But
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
absolutely. But something I want to say, you know, folks, when I started doing this podcast, I figured I'd meet some people who were interesting, but doing this for, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And I've had so many great guests on, and I'm honored and privileged to have OG, Mr. John Reaves on my show. But John, what I'm going to do is prior to me meeting you, having the pleasure of meeting you,
mhm.
I end up meeting someone, and I'm sure you may not know who he is. His name is called Ed Atlas. Now, Ed Atlas is a veteran, played in the service, could have made the NBA, got hurt, went through all the emotional things right now. And what he does now is he trains a lot of these basketball players from out of Africa, and he's from Hempstead, New York. He's written two
Okay.
books about Hempstead, New York. So as much as you talk about Chicago, he talks about Hempstead, New York. And
I
I
can.
would love us three together, and because Ed would really be off the hook because he goes back
I,
almost as far as you. I think that would be a great historical thing that if we us three can get together. And as far as Nate Archibald is concerned, I got a text, matter of fact, from a guy named Claude Pritchard, who's the one that's setting everything up, and he said it should be happening very soon. Nate's been sick; he's been in the hospital. He just recently got out of the hospital, and as I told you before, I had the pleasure of playing against him 1-on-1. I was only about 13 years old, but I was out here in New Bedford, and I saw him 40 years later because I was doing the broadcasting at a Christmas tournament, and Steve Berger, who was running it, he said, "Oh, Nate's coming down with a team from New York." I remember the team
wow.
was called. Anyway, so me, I'm giving my stats. I'm giving all my trivia questions, and there was no Google back then. And I turned my head. I'm talking about all his stats: 34.5 points a game, 13.46. I'm gone. I'm running off, my big mouth. And I turned my head, John, and guess who I see? Nate Archibald.
Nate
And I went up
Archibald.
to Archibald. I know you don't know who I am. I said, my name is Mike Consatio. I said, do you remember coming to New Bedford at United Front Homes? He turned to me, he said, that was over 40 years ago. And then I went and sat in the stands with him, with the coach of the New York team. He was a former ABA star. I can't remember his name. We sat in the stands for about a good 45 minutes talking about
Uh,
it was a great experience. So he kind of knows who I am a little bit, but I'm
those
looking
are
forward to
those
having
are those are
and
great
along with you,
experiences.
it was
Those
great. It was great.
those are great experiences, man. You can't
It
beat it
was great.
when you run into an old timer like that, and they sit and they openly talk to you about the game itself and how the game has progressed. And I talked to a guy today on Facebook who said he was talking about uh, what's the most popular sport around? Is baseball still the what they call it, past the great pastime and all that? I told him that
Uh-huh.
no, I don't think so. I think football has overtaken baseball. And
Oh,
basketball
absolutely.
and basketball is is kind of sketchy because of the new blood coming in. It's got because
Right.
look
Right.
and one guy went into the basket, did all this, and I'm listening to the announcer, and I'm like, well, who is this dude? It's like these are all the young guys, just Anthony Edwards and all these guys. These guys can jump out of the gym, but who are they? And then what happened to John Morant? All of a sudden he's fell off the radar. So I'm like, well, I mean, and then this other guy, Carl Anthony Towns, all the big cat and all these guys are good ball players, but the game is kind of like they call it. The young guys in Chicago now call it. It's getting soft. I'd say I use the term soft as Drexel cotton. So because he's soft as Drexel cotton because uh, LeBron he's been accused of flopping and all that kind of flipping and
Oh
falling
yeah.
and
Oh
complaining
yeah.
and all. So I think it's that he needs about a 30, 40-second break all the time. So, he could, and he's slow. He's not slowing down, but he's not the old LeBron that because he's young. He can get older. He's like 40 years
Right.
old. So it's just amazing. So these
All
guys
right. Let me
don't
ask you a
remember.
question.
Yeah, they don't
Let me ask you
remember
a question.
Dave Bing and all.
All right.
Dave
That's
Bing
my guy.
played with one eye.
Hey. Oh yes.
Dave
That's
Bing
my guy.
played. Dave Bing played almost with one eye, man. I mean, this guy got his retina torn up and all that, and he's
Catch
playing
retina.
with one
Yes.
eye, one leg. Yeah, now guys, now they got they come up with these muscles that I'm a physical education major, and they got muscles that they tear muscles now you never heard of. Well, what's an anterior cruciate? What's the lower sternum? Come on, man. What are all this? Man, my back is hurting. I gotta go to the ice. I gotta get in the ice bucket. All that. Come on, man. And
All
guys
right.
played with
I,
this guy. No guys that played with gunshot wounds, and who are
that's fact.
sprained
Now
ankles.
let me ask
All
you
that.
a question. What do you think about guys like let's say LeBron, let's say Luca, let's say Jokic. I'm gonna hit you with a high one, but not too high. Uh, Towns,
Okay.
whoever. What if, let's see, hmm, how about if they went against a Dennis Rodman, Oakley, or,
But then
you
get thrown
know,
out in the first quarter. Oakley be they be gone. For Rodman be gone by halftime. He'd be gone by halftime. No, because he's got they're too physical.
that's my
They're too
point. The
physical.
physicality, not playing in this era. I'm talking about in their era.
Oh, back in the day, I'm saying what that Rodman would have fouled out against Wimbyana and all of that. He would have been fouled out in the first quarter. Try to stay with him, man. Come on, these they don't have a clue. These young guys now don't have a clue. You just look at them hard and all of a sudden they got fouled. Oh, no, he hit me. Oh, come on, man. They just don't have it going on like that. So it's just amazing how how much these guys comprise. Every foul, every move to the basket is a foul. They grab their wrist. He
Every
hit me on the hand. All that
they
kind of stuff.
tap me. I hate it. These guys are making 40 million a year, and they get tapped on the wrist. Oh, I can't play. I
And
get a
then
fingernail.
what they call it,
I get,
load management. I
yeah,
got
low
load
this.
management.
I
I'm
say
telling.
low this.
I got to sit out, man. I ain't playing stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I ain't playing.
Yeah, I ain't playing. Then they talk about what's the guy that got hurt. I love him. He got a great move. Derrick Rose.
Oh,
People were
yeah.
afraid of Derrick Rose because he's so quick. He's
Yep.
quick, man. He's quick. I made a mention. I made a mention to Richard Bradshaw the other day, Saturday. I said, Derrick Rose is quicker than an after dinner fart. He said, what? He, he said, what? He said, after dinner fart. I said, yeah, man. He's quick, man. He around you in a minute. He does do that crossover and it's oh yeah, and you did because this guy he dunk on you and all that, and he was like what 6'3", 6'4", if that. So he's. I think one of his issues is his ankles and stuff were so torn up from it. Eats some Skittles all the time. That sugar
Right.
wears your bones up. He kept eating them Skittles, man. That stuff kill you. That stuff will kill you. So he's a good ball player, but he's he's like he's like the Lord Jesus Christ in Chicago. They love him. He said, D Rose, man, you saying something. They did a thing the other day where they were complaining about who's the GOAT of all time, Jordan or LeBron. He said, okay, all you guys in the audience, he said, stand up, raise your hand or whatever. All of y'all that have a pair of Air Jordans on, stand up. And everybody in the gym stood up. He said, how many of them got on? He said, how many? All you guys that got on LeBrons, stand up. And about 15 guys stood up. Everybody else, about 2,000 of them stood up. All of them got on Air Jordans. He said, now, who's the GOAT? He said, ain't nobody wearing no LeBrons. No, man, come on. It's just
Uh,
crazy. It's,
all right,
it's
now
nuts, man.
OG, this is what I'm gonna hit you with, and I think we're gonna finally disagree on this one. I think.
Go ahead.
I think I shocked you on this one, but that's kind of why I wanted you on because you have a perspective from the old school, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, whatever, and to right now. So I think you can represent and resonate with a lot of people who probably watching this probably can't because they're either too young or just don't know. Now, what is
Mhm.
your take on who is the real GOAT? And my answer is going to surprise everybody who's tuned in today.
Go ahead.
No, I want you to go on this one. Who is the GOAT? Who is the GOAT? I can't
Actually have not
connect.
seen the real. They have not seen the real GOAT yet. And believe it or not, he hasn't appeared yet. I don't know
Okay.
when he'll be here. We may not be here to watch it, but
Okay.
he's not here yet. He's not here.
Okay.
So
All right.
Michael Jordan right now is the man.
Okay.
He's the man. So, Kobe Bryant,
The connection's not coming that good, OG, but I'll give you my go. All right, now it's gonna take a minute, so maybe you want to have a seat because I'm gonna come because I want to kind of put it to rest who I believe is a GOAT, and I'm gonna explain exactly why. As I used to claim to be the historian, but after talking with Sam Jones, I no longer claim to be one. After sitting down, and I already told you that. So I am no historian, but I do know history, and here is the GOAT. I'm gonna say what he did first. You see, to me, the GOAT, if you're talking about the NBA, it's not always what you do on the court, it's what you do off the court. And what I mean by that, if you go, what is he talking about? We're talking about I'm gonna tell you real quick. The GOAT is Oscar Robinson. Why? Well, Oscar, yeah, the triple double, and was one of the all time. I'm not even talking about that. I'm gonna tell you why he's the GOAT. You see, back then, I know you can relate to this, OG. You guys probably are not aware. Back then, the players had to go through hell. They had to do two jobs, maybe three. Do you know that they didn't have insurance? If they got injured during the game, guess what? They had to pay. There was no such thing as free agency. Do you know all the stuff that they had to go through? They couldn't go to different teams. They couldn't do a damn thing. There was a guy by the name of Oscar Robinson. 1962, y'all can look it up. No Google. 61-62. They had the very first game at the Boston Garden. It was going to be a televised game. Now, Oscar Robinson got together with both teams and said, look, we're not getting any insurance. We're not getting a damn thing. And we need to do something about this. Because, again, as I said, no insurance, no pension, none of this stuff ever existed. No free agency, nothing. So, you know who the GOAT is? Someone who took a stand for the players. Now, we talk about LeBron James, billionaire, great things he's done for the community, and all the stuff he's done for the. What has he done for the players? Michael Jordan, billionaire, all kind of this, all kind of that. What has he done for the players? If you look at the most updated, you got to go with Chris Paul and his group, because what they did was a lot of the ABA players now get more money because they can't pay their bills, they can't pay their housing, they can't pay anything, and they stood up for what now all these players making all these millions and billions of dollars. So to me, the GOAT is someone who did something not only on the court but off the court for the betterment of all. So let me go back to that 1961 thing at the Boston Garden. Hour before game time, nationally televised game. And what happened was Oscar and them crew, they took a vote. We're going to do this or we're not. If we take a stand, then there might not be a game. If they told them, you guys going to play or you're done. So you can look it up. They took a stand. If I recall, I might have my numbers a little bit off. I think there were 24 players. I think 18 voted yes, 6 voted no. I know some of the names that said no, but I won't put that out there. So what they did was, now you got the producers, you got everybody, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Sure enough, you got TV contract, it's ABC or one of them damn channels, and guess what? They went through with the game, and if it wasn't for Oscar Robinson, the players would never have received, I guess, credentials or, being able to pay their, have NBA pay their insurance and things of that nature. And if you look back a little fast forward, then it became free agency. You know that? And guess who started that? Oscar Robinson. And if you notice, look how free agency has done right now. That is the GOAT. Because without the GOAT, remember, like I said, players couldn't just go. Players stood on one team only. And the owners treated players like I'm going to say. So they had total control of the players. So guess what? You don't want to play? See you later. They had that control. And because of Oscar Robinson, players were able to move and go to different teams and do a lot of things that we take for granted now. So when I talk about the GOAT, so when I talk about greatest of all time, that's the GOAT because without people like him, there would never be a Michael Jordan or whatever, or never been able to thrive off of what they did. They took a stand in 1961, 62. And remember, they weren't getting that kind of money back then, but they took a stand, not only for them, but for the future players. And that, to me, is my definition of the GOAT. And not only was he one of the greatest ball players of all time, he also established, again, let's talk about free agency. Let's talk about, again, paying the players more money. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, the contracts went up as well. So a lot of things that he established, and it wasn't just Oscar because obviously he needed some help, but he had some good people behind him, and they believed in what they were doing. And to me, that is the goal. So we can talk about LeBron. You know, at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares who is the GOAT? Is that going to put any money in your pocket? And you know what's going to happen? The people who are older are going to resonate with Michael Jordan. The people who are younger are going to resonate with LeBron because they probably didn't see Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? And most of the people, it goes back to what you resonate. You all know when you grew up as a kid, you know what stays in your mind, the food or the smells from way back in your early upbringing, that stays with you. And even though there's new times, a new era, whatever, it does not resonate to what happens when you was a younger or when you was younger. So that debate about who is the GOAT, Michael, no. And even Michael said it's different eras, different times. He said he wished he could play against a Jerry West to see how he could do and vice versa. You know, I talked to Sam Jones, and I asked Sam, I said, how would you do in today's era? He laughed at me. He laughed at me. So I think you know what the answer to that is. So I don't like that GOAT talk because who cares are they putting any more money in your pocket? Mike's the GOAT. Okay, all right, what does that mean? Okay, what does that mean? At the end of what does that mean? Who is the GOAT? Does it really mean anything? You're right or you're wrong. The GOAT is someone who made an impact to me on and off the court. And without people like Oscar Robinson, Spencer Haywood, do I got a Connie Hawkins? I can list, I know the whole shaboom, shabam. I can break it down, you know. And it's funny too, because again, as I told people before, and people didn't believe me, Bill Russell, you know how he ended up with the Celtics? The Ice Capades. Believe it or not. Check that. Bill Russell ended up playing with the Celtics with a deal that the owner, I don't remember his name right now, Walter something, and the owner, I think it was one of the teams in the Midwest, Baltimore or something. They made a deal on a napkin, and the guy wanted the Ice Capades, and the owner, whatever his name is, he wanted Bill Russell. And that's so, folks, you see what happened back in the day. So I know, yeah, Mike, you talk about 19, but without that, there would be no today. So if you ask me, if someone said who's the GOAT, that's the GOAT because he took a stand. Just like Muhammad Ali took a stand, Oscar Robinson took a stand for not only himself, but for the players that would come after him. And that's my speech. That's my GOAT. Hopefully, Mr. OG is on right now, but I told him I was going to take a couple minutes because I'm so tired about this not OG, the GOAT business. Because to me, that GOAT stuff got to go. You know, I hate, and they do it in football. Who cares? How about we just enjoy the talent that we see? Why can't we just enjoy? Why do we have to break it down? Well, he's the GOAT or she's the GOAT. Who cares who the GOAT is? Who at the end of the who cares? You know, we got the films of them, we got the history of them. They're doing great things. They're bringing publicity to the sport. They're doing so many, but to sit there and debate who is the GOAT, I got problems. Now, if you want to talk about who got better teams, because that's a team game. Basketball is a team game, folks. It's not an individual game. Same thing with football and baseball. It's a team game. So if you want to talk about teams, we can go on there. We can talk about, you know, all the great teams that have played in whether it be baseball, football, or basketball. I got no issue with that. But you know, as I'm doing these shows and I'm watching all these shows and everything, who is the GOAT? You know something that makes me sick. Truly, really makes me sick when I hear about the GOAT. Like I know people got to talk. You know, that's their job to bring up and create the drama and create this, create that. But you know, if the guy who is the GOAT says there's no GOAT, can we end conversation? If he says there is no GOAT, can we end it? Can we stop the GOAT topic NBA wise? If the so-called GOAT said there is no GOAT because of different eras, why can't we just go along with what the GOAT says? So-called GOAT. But you know, I was on my rampage. OG, I'm glad. OG said, let Mike, go do his thing because I was so upset. It's been bothering me for a while to go on and talk about that. You know, I talk about Oscar Robinson because I've been following the game since 1967. My very first idol was Will Chamberlain, and then of course it became Dave Bing, who OG John talked about. Dave Bing is from Washington D.C. Ended up playing at Syracuse with Boeheim, the coach of Syracuse. They both played the backcourt. Dave Bing went on to got drafted by the Detroit Pistons. Led the league in scoring as a rookie, 27 points a game to be exact. That was my idol after that. And then after that was Dr. J. And then it was, of course, the great David Thompson. And then Isaiah Thomas, which I still get a lot of heat for that. But yeah, those are my idols NBA wise. And tomorrow's show, I'm gonna talk about some of the things that the experiences I've had with again Nate Archibald, Dr. J, Red Auerbach, Isaiah Thomas, JoJo White, Dennis Johnson, Pat Ewing, on and on. Not because and it's not because of me. Because if I was all that, I would have been in the NBA. And I didn't make. There was no A, B, B, A. I didn't play nothing like that. But I did my thing, but not to the level of an NBA player. But I had the opportunity to meet some NBA players, and had a couple on my show: Kermit Washington, Sam Jones, Gene Smith, and hopefully Nate Archibald will be coming on very soon, which is going to be very special to me. So, hey, someone from New Bedford, Mass, who has been able to see what I've seen and been able to meet the people I've met. Again, it's not because of me. So I don't want to seem like I'm blowing my own horn because I'm not. I just like to have you guys, I guess, see the experiences that I've had and what I appreciate about the things that have gone on in my life. I've been blessed. Paul Silas, I can go on. Oh, my Stat Sanders, I can go. Oh, I got so many names I can think of. Phew, on and on. Well, I think we got OG back on. OG, sorry about that. I had to go on my little rant. Now we got you back. What's your take? Oh, I think we get him back on. He walking around there. He might be mad at me, but that's my take. So we're gonna see what he got to say. We got about 10 minutes left. Hopefully he comes back on. He's probably waiting on me to shut up, but I just had to go in there and rant about Oscar. That was my take on it. And, true to my word, hopefully he comes back on. Yeah, I'm here. OG, I'm sorry about that. I had to go on my little rant.
Yeah, I know. I just saw you. You just went off. So blew me away. Blew me away, man. I had to go sit next to the router and did all that Wi-Fi stuff. Just blew me away. Now listen, who's the GOAT? Who would you figure out to be the GOAT?
Oscar Robinson.
Oh, my man! I told my son that.
Yeah.
I told my son that years ago, that he was the
All right.
greatest of all time.
Ah,
So
yeah.
all he needed was a big man. That's all he needed.
Yeah.
Connie
Oh.
Came in and did his thing. That's what got him the championship. And listen, to me, he was. They said that when the coach of University of Cincinnati called a team meeting, and he said Oscar was not there. He had all of the white collar. Oscar was the only black dude on the team. There.
Uh-huh.
He
Uh-huh.
said, pull all together, and he said, "We're a good team. We're a team. Do what he that's what he did double at 30 you Cincinnati. You were 10 points, you were 60 points now because he's gonna get 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists at least. You were 60 points down. When you count that, when you count points, he was going up a point account for 30 points, assists, and 30 points scoring. Points
And, and OG, if you remember, I know he won the championship with Alcindor in 71, 72. But prior to that, can you name anybody he played with? When he played for Cincinnati Royals, can you remember anybody he played with? And do you know who?
Yeah,
Cincinnati Royals. You're not coming in. I wish you could come in clearer. But I'll tell you, you know who his coach was? You know who his coach was that got rid of Oscar Robinson? You want to know who? I bet you don't know who. Even OG, you don't. I bet you none of y'all know who this is. You know who his coach was? And did not like Oscar Robinson at all as a player. Well, I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't say that. I should just say he probably felt better if Oscar went and played somewhere else. Anyway, his coach was a guy by the name of Bob Cousy, who played for the Celtics, who played against Oscar when he played for the Celtics. And the Celtics used to beat Oscar Robinson every year because the Celtics had a better team all them years. So, what they say, history repeats itself. So I don't know. I just think that, again, I'm not claiming to be a historian. I just know what I know. And so I have a different perspective on things. So when I look at things, people might say, well, what's Mike talking? Because I know. And then after talking to someone who actually lived it, who actually was there, none of y'all can tell me. What are you going to tell me that Sam didn't tell me? Sam was a 10-time NBA champion who went through all the hardships and all the things. What do I care what anybody else thinks? For real, about this topic, about this. Because I got schooled. I mean, you know how I got big mouth? I didn't say a word. Matter of fact, Sam had me in tears. So I know what I know. Not that I'm not all that, but I know what I know. And, like I said, you could read a book. You can read stats all you want. Analytics, you can do all that. You can make, like I said, you can make analytics look good or bad. Any way, shape, or form, however you want to bring it to that level. You know what I mean? So I could use analytics to prove my point. You could use analytics to prove your point. But when you have someone who was actually there, you know what I mean? And that was like a rude awakening because, everybody thinks because they could read a post or read that they think they know it all and all that. The numbers don't mean everything. How about the eye test? How about the eye test? And on tomorrow's show, because we're running out of time right now, I'm going to get OG back on again because he is a wealth of knowledge and I appreciate him coming on. But I wanted to talk about this GOAT business once and for all. And I'm sure I'm going to get some responses, and that's okay. That's okay. Everyone has a right to their opinion. But all I'll say, if there was no Oscar Robinson, there would be no TV NBA. There'd be no free agency. Or maybe it would have eventually transpired into that, maybe later on. But Oscar and them needed it now because they were getting little injuries. I don't know, nothing. Achilles, and all these injuries that have come about now. But they had to pay for their own doctor's bills, insurance, had to go and do 2, 3 jobs. I mean, they weren't paying that much. Think about it. I'm gonna tell you one quick story. Around 1970, around there, whatever. I remember, man, no, it was a little bit later than that. But I remember going to want to watch the Celtics game, and I remember because I was young, I didn't have no kind of money, but I remember I had to send out, I guess it was a money order to the Celtics organization because I wanted to go to a game. So guess how much them tickets cost me? I'm not trying to tell how old I am. Them tickets cost me a whopping $12. And guess what? Back then the Celtics weren't doing that good. So for a $12 ticket, I was in the front row. You know what I mean? So that just shows you how old I am. But it also shows you how the game is now. You can't get a damn seat for like less than 250, 300. I paid $12. All right, $12. I wish I still had the stuff. $12 for that as well. But again, we're running out of time right now. Again, I want to thank OG John Reaves. He's gonna come back every now and then because I love kicking it with him. And it keeps me remembering the older people. They're gone but not forgotten. And I love kicking it with him because he knows way more than me. And like I said, hopefully I can get my boy Ed Atlas, who does his thing from New York. Then we have New York. We're gonna have Chicago, and then we're gonna have kind of like sort of Boston, whatever. So that might be, although I'm from New Bedford, but Boston area, whatever. So that should be kind of cool. We're gonna have New York, Boston, Chicago, and whoever, who knows? Maybe might get some Detroit up in here. Who knows? Maybe we could just do a damn round table and just go at it. I mean, just have a good time, reminisce. And I think that's kind of the game plan the Conn Man has, because I'm glad to have the platform to do what I do. Thanks to Key Williams, and Cool McCain, and everybody at the network who allows me to do what I do. Jake Silver, of course. You see, I got the gig. I got the gig. But anyway, it's about that time. Again, I want to thank OG John Reeves for coming on my show, and we're gonna get him back. Don't worry about that, y'all. I'm sorry if I went on a little rant and rave, but I just that goat stuff got me because I know what I know. You know what I mean? And I'm sure people are gonna say Michael Jordan. No, 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 no. LeBron. No, 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 no. They're gonna say Alcindor. Whew. Now, because our world champion, because they changed the whole nature of the game. They changed the whole concept of the game, which was part of the game, which was part of the players again. So, I mean, if you're going to come at me with Alcindor, I'm not going to argue. You're going to come at me with the Chamberlain, I'm not going to argue with you. You're going to come at me with a Pistol Pete, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, I'm not going to, but nah. If you're going, again, most people who make the most impact do it off the court than more than do it on the court. That's all. That's my end of my rant, my rave. Tomorrow I'll be back. I'll be a little bit calmer. I'll be a little bit better. Tomorrow, 5:00, I'll be on with Sports Corner with the Conn Man again, and we're going to talk about some of the things that I want to address about some of my personal experience, so you get to know a little bit more about the Conn Man. Next week we got a great guest. We got my man Follow Suit, and teaching the young people how to dress properly, how to act responsibly, professionally. My man Follow Suit, he was supposed to be on a little while ago, but he's coming back on next Thursday at 6. Next Friday, I got my man Mike Myers, NBA commissioner, which is the Military Basketball Association. They got the NBA championships coming on again, so we're going to kick it there. And then, we got Nate Archibald coming on. I can't wait for that one. Best believe I will notify all y'all about that one, because that one's going to be off the hook. Again, he's been sick. He's had some issues, but we're going to get him on here. I hope. I don't want to make promises, but I hope. I've been told that he's going to come on, and, I don't want to make promises because, anything could happen. But again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. I want to thank my producer, Key Williams. I want to thank Jake Silver. I want to thank Kuma Kane and the whole crew at the Sports Wave Network. See y'all tomorrow, 5 p.m., live and in color. Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. Y'all have a good night. God bless.